Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where we love to educate and inspire the community around healthy living and quality lifestyle. And today for our first guest we have Con Nichols, property advisor and wellbeing advocate, and he's here with the fourth in his series on improving your environment to meet your lifestyle. And today he's talking about convenience. So over to you, Con.
Thank you for the opportunity of coming to your show.
Convenience, how does that play out in changing?
Great question. Typical example is that when we got a couple that actually just sold a recent property up in Templestowe, and they moved down to Blackrock. And of course, two different suburbs, two different areas where for them, the convenience of having a more vibrant community by being very close to a lot of cafes, being close to the beach, of course, for them it was paradise on earth because they found themselves doing activities and doing things they never would have dreamed of doing in Templestowe. And the most important thing for them is also they are happy, and the change of locality and change to different area was surprising, amazing. We'll find out that a lot of people at the beginning, they're a bit hesitant. Oh no, are we gonna move this? Is this the right move? Are we doing the right thing? What if, what if, what if? At the end of the day, you gotta look at the big picture. And the big picture is your lifestyle you're gonna achieve, and make sure that your locality fits your criteria. If you're looking for cafes, you go somewhere there's a lot of cafes. Now, on the other side of the coin, if you look at something more quieter and you wanna go to a regional area, by all means, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no right or wrong in this answer. It's what every individual wants to do with the sea change.
I suppose it'd incorporate things like if you wanted to be in an area with local shops, it certainly is easy. You can wander up the road and get your groceries or whatever instead of having to hop in a car and drive somewhere. Another
topic, in addition to that as well, yes, groceries are good, is great, but also there's other situations for healthy reasons. They need to be close to a hospital, or they need to be close to a particular medical suite to look after themselves. So for example, if you need to be attended on a regular basis on a particular doctor or particular medical field, and you need to be in this particular pocket, well, you've got to be in this pocket. Your life depends on it. So every situation is different, and everybody's got an individual story to tell and ask for. Another example is for locality. I can only talk to my own situation, for example, is that we had twins, and obviously we needed the assistance of my mother and my mother-in-law. So we found a property that we built to be literally in between of the parents, because we needed the assistance, we needed the help. So there's nothing wrong of even looking at that aspect that, you know what, not a bad idea, you know what I mean? Now some people say, you know what, I don't want to live with my parents or my mother-in-law or my own parents, I want to do something completely different. You might say, you know what, I need to be close to my work. And we all know Melbourne's getting very congested with the traffic and so on. And that's why we found out that a lot of the house prices have increased close to the city because people that don't want to travel. So once again, it's an individual thing. It depends what fits your criteria, and you got to be happy with it.
And then I know there are a lot of situations I've heard of from viewers about maybe being far away from their own grandchildren, or there are other members of their family, so that would cause them to want to move closer, maybe downsize and move closer.
Definitely. Look, we got a lot of scenarios at the moment, that a lot of situations as well, that kids are moved out a little bit further out because they're more affordable houses. So they left the city to move out a little bit further. And for the parents, after they downsized, they were looking the locality, and for them it made a lot of sense that, you know what, we're going to go on the pathway where kids went. We're going to be close to our kids, to our family, and B, we're going to save money on buying something more cheaper than the inner city. So it's a double whammy. So once again, seek your professional advice before you make any moves, and you make sure you don't rush those things. I highly recommend that you put everything down on paper and you look in your cons and your pros, what's the best way to do for everybody, because remember, my roadmap will be different to your roadmap, and that's very crucial for everybody.
And Con, what would you say would be your top tips for people to bear in mind in relation to convenience?
The most important thing is that the decision you've got to make, it's got to serve you and your household, because you guys come first. You're not going to do it for the neighbour, and it's got to be the right decision. So if your viewers would like any more questions to ask me through your website, of course, please feel very free, and I can answer them whatever they like. And thank you for the opportunity, Linda.
Oh, great. Thank you. And for more information on Con Nichols and improving your environment to meet your lifestyle, then please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. After the break, we'll be back with George Gentilis, another viewer's request, and talking about releasing anxiety. Welcome back to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle. And our first guest today is George Gentilis, somatic psychotherapist, and he's talking about releasing anxiety today. So welcome, George, and releasing. How do we release anxiety?
So today we're going to talk about anxiety, a big one for a lot of people. Last time we talked about trauma, and today I want to break up trauma in a bit more specific, more detail. We've got, with trauma, you've got two ends of the scale. You've got the hyperarousal, which is anxiety, and then you've got hypoarousal, to use a technical term, which is depression. We're going to talk about that next time. But today it's that hyperarousal, that fear, that anxiety, and at extremes when you're panicking and hysterical and freaking out of your body. Or when you get a phobia, that something triggers you and you're just scared. Public speaking is a big one. Very common for people to be terrified of public speaking. Had that myself, and healed it years ago. Otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here looking at a camera. But anxiety is a big one, and really what you want to be able to do is feel safe. Feel safe and feel in your body, and then get to the point where once you're in your body, to let that anxiety release. Because obviously there's something there in the past, some event, something happened in the past that triggered you. You blocked it off, you got on with your life, and it just stayed there. And then something happens in your life which triggers it, like public speaking, which is so big for a lot of people. If you have to all of a sudden talk in front of people, people freeze. Or when you get a phobia, if people go up heights or get on planes, or it can be anything. Something that triggers this anxiety. It could be a particular way your boss speaks to you, triggers you, and you're walking around with this anxiety and fear. And it's just one little part of your body, somewhere in your brain. There's some event in the past that basically you got scared. Like I mentioned with trauma, you thought, I've lost control here, I could get hurt, I could get injured, I could die here. And so it sets in. So how do you deal with that? Well, anxiety, the way it looks in the body is, it's high-pitched, and I'm scared, you're leaving your body. So the number one thing you want to do is feel safe. And to feel safe, you've got to come back into your body and center yourself. So you want to breathe, again, back to that mindfulness, back to that body-based mindfulness, closing your eyes, that meditation style, where you close your eyes, come back down, and you want to feel your belly breathing. Not the chest breathing, which is what anxiety normally does, and your heart's racing. You want that belly breathing, because we lose our belly, we lose our legs. So you want to crunch your toes, feel your toes, press your feet into the ground, ground yourself, and breathe into your belly and start to feel yourself in your belly, not up here, high pitch, where you're ready to just leave your body and be above it because that anxiety is taking over. And to feel safe. So you want to feel your body again, like I mentioned with trauma, and calm down. You want to calm down and really, so your voice can then drop. And then once you access it, then the trauma response happens. Once you're back down in your belly, then you're going to get the little twitches and little shakes, and you want to let them happen. Let them happen, and then your body will just diffuse, discharge the fight, the flight response. Next week we'll talk about the fight response, which is depression, causes depression. So this time it's that fight response. So which is why also interval training is good, exercise is good, going for a run if you get anxious is very good. Work it off, and because your body just wants to run, flee from this event that whatever it was triggered you, and you may not even remember the event. Most of the time you don't because it's subconscious. And again, most of them go back to childhood. Something happened, present moment triggered it. Work it out. So just run on the spot, or if you've got a stationary bike, or dancing it off helps. Highly recommend everyone dances at least once a week. Very important. And I'll recommend other things for depression next week, but this time it's movement to get the flight out of your body, and very important, very important.
That's huge for us, isn't it? Movement and breathing. That comes up in exercise, or sort of a lot of sports. They tell you to do that with the movement, to take the breaths, that rhythmic breathing.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's crucial to life. I mean, there's a certain way of breathing deeply where you're coming fully into your body, because you want oxygen to go through your whole nervous system, and in anxiety it leaves your legs. You're shallow breathing, and you're basically cutting off circulation. And then if you start to worry as well, if you're in your head, that just doubles it. So you've got to clear out the worry by meditating, coming down into your belly, even running on the spot, go for a walk. And look at objects as well. That's a good one also, is to look around the room to get present in the moment, because you'll be going off this part of your body that has the anxiety will be going off thinking the worst thing is going to happen. Go for a walk and notice objects and even name them to get you present just in this moment, to get out of that future worry of what might happen and any memory of that trauma that occurred back that caused the original trauma, which actually isn't an issue now because you're a full adult. And again, like I said before, mostly happens in childhood. But that little part of you that's blocked off is terrified, could be panicking. So you want to feel your body, go for a walk, even go for a run for 10, 20 seconds, just work it off. It discharges the flight response, and then you can relax, put a blanket around you. If you have a bath, take a bath is really powerful, because you've got water all over your body. Most people don't have baths these days, but you can do shower therapy. Stay under the shower a long time, very powerful, because you're getting the touch you need, and you're getting present in the moment to let that part of you that's terrified to realise it's actually safe. There's actually not an issue here. What you're about to do, whatever's triggered you, isn't that bad, and you just want to calm down, and again, not have to take a pill to do it naturally. And that's the best way. That's the best way, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
And for more information on George and releasing anxiety, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. After the break, we have Trudy Pavlovsky, a viewer's request, talking about embracing your shadow values. We have Trudy Pavlovsky, the Queen of Shadow Values, who will be talking to us today about embracing our shadow values. Welcome, Trudy.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today, Linda.
What are shadow values for our viewers out there?
Viewers might be able to identify general normal values. So the traditional values of trust and love and respect, those nice values that you're totally happy to share with the world because they feel good. I work with the values on the flip side, which are the shadow values. So these are values that growing up, something's happened, we've been taught to be ashamed of wanting this value, and I illuminate those values. We bring them into the light, because when you harness the power of the shadow values, what happens, you use these values to motivate you with your goals, and your life just can take off in ways that never before thought possible. So there's 10, and today obviously we don't have time to go through 10 of them. So I really wanted to share 2 of them today. So I wanted to talk about attention and validation, Because when I work with people with these values and they embody it and they get it, their life really does start to transform. So I'll talk to you about attention first, because here we are on TV, like center of attention. So we've embodied this value, right? We feel good about getting attention. But I want to ask the viewers, how many of you out there secretly crave attention, to be seen, to be recognized, but you don't take the action to go out and do it? Especially if you're in business or you're wanting to change your life somehow, get a promotion, receiving attention when it feels good allows you to get what you really want. And then with validation, this is a really interesting one, because quite often when we're growing up and we're like little kids, we're always looking for approval from a parent or a teacher or an older sibling. But if we don't get that approval, we feel bad, and then we start looking for it further and further afield, and we lose trust in our own ability to make decisions for ourselves and to be okay going after what we want. So when we learn to invalidate ourselves internally and stop asking 20 people around us if what we want to do is okay, we just feel better. We start taking action from a place that's so much more inspired. And if we're in business or if we're looking to create something in our life, we get the momentum because we're not constantly having to check in with somebody else.
Trudy, we were talking off camera about imposter syndrome. So could you explain to our viewers something a bit more about imposter syndrome and what it is for them?
Imposter syndrome, which is a person's inability to believe in their own results, no matter how much they've studied, how much effort they've put in, no matter how many times people say good job. That ties in so closely with shadow values and downplayed their results. Chances are, if you're doing that and saying that to yourself, you've got imposter syndrome. And so what happens when you start embodying your shadow values, that little imposter syndrome voice, it just gets quieter and quieter and quieter in your mind, because your shadow values, when you can be comfortable with attention, can validate yourself, and some of the other ones, take control of your own life, honor your own ambitions, own your own superiority, be comfortable receiving money. When you build up all of those, the imposter syndrome stops, because you get comfortable being recognized for who you are. Because it goes back to our beliefs around what we have around who we are, how we show up, what we want to create in the life, and what we think is possible. And beliefs form in childhood, and they're based purely on our experiences, so they're very unique for everyone. And when you can look at your beliefs and see how they've formed patterns growing up and how they shape your life, then you can see these are my values, and they all tie together in a nice little bow. But if you want to start transforming these things, it's like, have a look at where you're putting the brakes on in your life, where you're saying, I can't possibly do that, or I can't receive that, or I'm not worthy. Because when you look at those patterns and those thoughts that you have in your head, that's when you can start creating the change. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you chip away at every day. And you would start with the value of attention. And it's like, where do I not feel comfortable receiving attention? And one of the ladies I worked with, she didn't feel comfortable going out in a pretty dress and wearing lipstick. So she decided one day, because she'd received negative attention in the past, she decided that she was better than the past, and she wanted to reinvent the story that she was telling herself. So she got up one morning, she put on the nice dress, did her lipstick, did up her hair, and she walked down the street. And she'd made the decision when she was walking down the street to hold herself high, to smile at people, and be comfortable in that moment.
So with that education that you've received in your own life about imposter syndrome, about shadow values and how all of these things play out for you, what really inspired you to look further into your own life and how that existed there?
Yeah. I didn't have exactly a happy life, and there were times when I didn't want to be here anymore. And I got to a point in my life where I really had to make the decision, how do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be seen in this world? And what kind of legacy do I want to leave? And that took me on a journey of learning about life coaching, neurolinguistic programming, energy work. I've got so many qualifications, it's ridiculous. But it started with that decision to go, I want more. I deserve more. I'm worthy of more. I gave myself permission to be the person that I always knew I was here to be. In spite of the pain and the trauma and the disappointments, I decided to look beyond that and go, I'm here for so much more. And embracing all of those values, and it just changed everything. And so that's why I'm here, to share that work.
And also, as a last takeaway for the audience, what would you say to them as a suggestion for them to take away from today?
One of the biggest lessons I learnt in life was that permission, it all starts with you. Now, I could have decided to stay miserable, but I decided I wanted more. So I gave myself permission, and then I looked at the decisions that I was making, and I decided to make different decisions. And from those decisions came smart choices. So for me, it's permission, decisions, choices.
Thank you, Trudy. And for more information about embracing your shadow values, please go to our website. For now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you next week here on Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle for more interviews with amazing people sharing their positivity and inspiration.